What is going on, YouTube-verse? John Stanek from Johnny Radio here, bringing you another Top 5 on this glorious Top 5 Friday, and I couldn't be more excited than to be talking to you about one of the greatest decades in music history, the 1960s, and my personal Top 5 favorite songs of the whole decade. Very hard to whittle down, but I think I did it. Let's get right into it. At number 5... Hey Joe by Jimi Hendrix, an absolute classic off of the 1967 debut album Are You Experienced? One of the greatest cover songs of all time because it was written by Billy Roberts, but Hendrix just made it his own with that walking bass line that's so cool, adding the female vocalist into the mix with those haunting vocals, adding extra tension to the vocals, the lyrics that are about murdering your girlfriend who had an affair. Just crazy, but Hendrix really sells it, not just musically, but vocally. His performance is just top notch. And this also happens to be the first song that I learned on guitar, so I just think it's one of the coolest rock songs of all time, and that's at my number 5. Now, folks, at number 4,
I see trees of green.
What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. This is a little bit of a wild card on here because there aren't a ton of Louis Armstrong songs that I am familiar with. He was actually more well known in the eras prior in the 40s and 50s as a jazz musician, but this song was just really suited for his gravelly voice. It just has this timeless quality to the orchestration, and when he sings those lines like about the children that they'll learn much more than he'll ever know, it just gets you right here. It is just a beautiful ballad and again, a timeless classic. So that's at my number 4. Now at number 3,
Don't let me down.
Don't Let Me Down by the Beatles. Of course, you knew I had to have a Beatles track on here, my favorite band of all time, and this is my favorite Beatles song of all time. It just checks every box for me, from the beautiful harmonies between John and Paul, just the upbeat vibe of it, Billy Preston on the keyboards adding extra effect, George and Ringo doing their thing. Of course, it was that, if you can just visualize them playing this song on the rooftop and having such a great time, and it has just a message of love for that John wrote to Yoko, which just summarizes what the Beatles were all about. And I could just listen to this song over and over again. I love it. So that's at my number 3. Now at number 2.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man.
Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. Yes, I have a Stones song a little bit ahead of a Beatles song on this list. I know that's surprising since the Beatles are my favorite band, but man, this song is just amazing, just in every way. I mean, the lyrics sound like they could have been written by someone like Bob Dylan because they are just genius, written from the perspective of the devil, and then adding this Latin vibe into the percussion of this song and the hoo-hoos in the background. It sounds unlike anything the Stones had ever done, or any other band had ever done for that matter, and that's why it just stands the test of time as one of the greatest rock songs ever made. And then, I mean, just the guitar solo, everything about it. I love this track. It is awesome. So that is number 2. Now at number 1.
There is a house in New Orleans.
House of the Rising Sun by the Animals. This, again, another timeless classic on this list. That word timeless keeps coming back because there's just something about that era of the 60s, mid to late 60s, that has this sound that it sounds like it could be now, could be then, could be before then, but it's just... the music is so strong, and the urgency in Eric Burdon's vocal performance on this is unbelievable, and then the band really matches that. The keyboard solo on this track, just those opening chords, it's like, yes, man, that we're in for something great. It's just got that dark vibe, but it's also... I don't know how else to say it, but it's like cinematic, which Martin Scorsese used it to very good effect in the movie Casino, so that makes sense. But it's just one of those songs that is one of the greatest of all time. What more can I say? And, all these bands, the Beatles, the Stones, the Animals that came at that time in the mid to late 60s, the British invasion, as they call themselves, it feels like they were trying to emulate the blues music in America at that time. And it's just something magical that happened that created these amazing sounds that predominantly make up my list here. Of course, there's other songs that I just barely didn't make my list, like Whole Lotta Love by Led Zeppelin, for example. There's just so many great classic rock songs and just songs in general from that era. I mean, I could have thrown a ton of Motown songs on here as well, but man, it's hard to narrow this down. So let me know what would make your top 5 in the comments below. If you're so bold, leave me a top 10. I really appreciate seeing what you think about my list, and I will respond to your list. I try to respond to everyone on here, and I really appreciate everyone who subscribes and watches this weekly. We've got top 5s every week, album reviews, and so much more. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, Viva La Vinyl. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, all that jazz. Check out some of my other content that you can see on the screen now. Thank you again for supporting Johnny Radio. Take care, and I'll see you soon.